Welcome to Try Podcast, episode 262. It's Monday, November 12th, and Dick Ollek asks, who's in control of your destiny? In this Try Podcast, Dick shares some ideas about how we approach life, our problems, and our opportunities. Shares some experiences from some famous business folks, and some ideas for how we can gain control of our own destiny. Let's listen in.
In this Try Podcast, I want to talk to each of you about your destiny. The destiny and who's in charge of your destiny. You know, a lot of people blame their circumstances, don't they? They blame their circumstances for their lack of success. The truth is that we create all of our own circumstances. You know that I've heard people say to me, in fact, I had a friend of mine tell me one time, years ago, he said, you know, Dick, I'd really always wanted to be an attorney. And I said, well, why don't you go after it? He said, but Dick, I'm 30 years old. And by the time I get through college and law school, I'll be 38 years old. 38 before I can start my law practice. And I looked at him right straight in the eye, and I said, Joe, how old are you going to be in 8 years if you don't go to law school? And he looked at me kind of with that deadpan look, because I'm still going to be 38, right? Let me give you a couple of examples. And Zig Ziglar pointed this out in one of his lectures that I had the privilege of attending. He was talking about how he had been at a real estate convention in Detroit a few years back. And it was at a time when General Motors was on strike, as a matter of fact. And so at the first break in the evening, he talked to this one gentleman. He said, how's things going? And the gentleman said, well, not good. I haven't sold a house. You know, General Motors is on strike. Nobody's buying houses. Nobody's buying a home. Because General Motors is on strike. Nobody's got any money. And so he said, I got away from that man just as quick as I could. Went back to my session that I was doing, and the next break, he says, came, and a little old lady was standing beside me, and I made the same mistake. He said, I turned to her, and he said, how's it going? And she said, well, you know, General Motors is on strike. And he said, I thought, oh boy, here it goes. I'm going to hear it all again. She said, business is going to be tremendous. And he said, really? And she said, well, you know, General Motors is on strike. He said, yes, ma'am, I know, you just told me that. And he said, and she said to him, she said, well, you know, people, while they're on strike, they have lots of time to be looking at homes. I have all day to show them homes. They're not in a hurry. They know that they're eventually going to go back to work. And I know they're going to eventually go back to work. The strike will end. And they have all the time in the world. So I'm just excited. This is a wonderful time. She said, do you think you know anybody over at General Motors that maybe could get this strike to last a little longer so that I can sell even more homes when it's over? And of course, Zig's point there was, look at the difference. One man blamed the strike because he couldn't sell a house. They couldn't sell a house because of the strike. And the little lady was saying, gosh, they're on strike, and I hope it lasts a little bit longer because more people are going to buy their homes. Think about that. Another example is Colonel Sanders. You know, we've all heard of Colonel Sanders and the KFC, or as it used to be called, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Colonel Sanders didn't open the first franchise restaurant until he was 66 years old. And I saw a sign in a KFC just the other day. It said he didn't really begin franchising in earnest until he was 75. Dave Smith, the founder of Wendy's, didn't graduate from high school. Eventually, after he had hundreds and hundreds of Wendy's stores out there, finally went and got his GED. You see, a lot of us have different circumstances, and the fact is we really have two choices. We can wallow in pity, you know, and say, oh, poor me, I'm too old, or I'm, you know, the world is after me, the world is against me, or we have the opportunity that we can develop plans to overcome our circumstances. It's really up to us. So let me ask you, what about you? What's your destiny? Are you allowing others to control your destiny? Is it time to make some changes? Let me just end on this note. When I decided to start my own business in 1972, after spending 9 years with another company, I had 3 young children, all under the age of 5, and I had just been pronounced clean for, or I should say this, I had what had been determined earlier as terminal cancer. And I was fortunate enough to go through radiation, and after a couple of years, I had been told it was arrested. So here was this young man, 3 young children, had some questionable illness in the past. I decided to go into business. And do you know that every friend we had said, "Dick, don't do this. Are you a fool? Are you stupid? Are you an idiot?" But we did it. And I'm happy to say we had a very successful and enjoyable business that we ran for 34 years before we sold it. So we didn't listen to all the negativity around us. So it's up to you. Time to make some changes in your life? Who's in charge of your destiny?
You've been listening to a Try Podcast, short video and audio presentation about important topics in our industry. If you're a current subscriber to the Try Podcast, thank you. We appreciate it. If you're not yet a subscriber, please check it out. It's free and it's easy. Come to www.trypodcast.com, enter your email address on the right-hand column, and click subscribe. We'll send you out a new Try Podcast every Monday morning.